Where did everything come from? This is the big question behind the cosmological argument. Two thinkers, Thomas Aquinas and William Lane Craig, tried to answer it using simple logic about causes, beginnings, and the universe itself. Aquinas lived in the 13th century. He gave 5 ways to argue for God. The first 3 are cosmological. They look at motion, causes, and existence, then ask what explains them all. Start with motion. Look around. Things move. A ball rolls because a foot kicked it. The foot moved because a leg swung it. Every motion needs a mover behind it. But this chain cannot go back forever. If every mover needs a mover, nothing would ever start moving. So there must be a first mover, something that moves without being moved. Aquinas says the same thing about causes. Every effect has a cause. A tree grew from a seed. The seed came from another tree. But the chain of causes must start somewhere, with a first cause. Aquinas calls this first cause God. Not a person with a beard, but the source behind motion, causes, and existence itself. Everything else depends on it, but it depends on nothing. Fast forward to William Lane Craig. He revived an old argument from Islamic philosophy called the Cosmological Argument. It is just 3 simple steps. Premise 1. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. A cake does not just appear. Someone baked it. A car does not assemble itself. Things that begin always have a cause. Premise 2. The universe began to exist. Modern science backs this up. The Big Bang shows the universe had a starting point about 14 billion years ago. Why can't the universe be eternal? Craig says you cannot have an actually infinite past. If infinite days had to pass before today, today would never arrive. So time must have a beginning. So we put it together. Whatever begins has a cause. The universe began. Therefore, the universe has a cause. That is the conclusion of the Kalam argument. What kind of cause could that be? Craig argues it must be outside space and time, since it created them. It must be powerful enough to make a universe, and it must be personal, not just a force. Why personal? Because the cause chose to act. An impersonal force would either always create or never create, but the universe began at a specific moment. That points to a mind making a decision. Let's compare the 2 arguments side by side. Aquinas focused on dependency right now. Why does anything exist at this moment? Craig focused on the beginning. Why did the universe start at all? Both arguments point to the same conclusion. There must be something outside the chain of causes, something that does not need a cause itself. Aquinas called it the unmoved mover. Craig calls it the uncaused cause. Critics push back. Some ask, what caused God? But the argument says only things that begin need a cause. If God never began, God does not need a cause. The chain stops there. Others ask, why must the cause be God? The argument alone does not prove every Christian doctrine. It only points to a powerful, timeless, personal cause. Other arguments fill in more details. What about the multiverse? Some say our universe came from another, but Craig responds that even a multiverse needs a beginning. You cannot escape the question by adding more universes. The cosmological argument does not prove everything. It is one piece of a bigger case, but it shows that the question, why is there something rather than nothing, is not silly. It deserves a real answer. So that is the cosmological argument. Aquinas asks what holds reality up. Craig asks what kicked it off. Both end at the same place, a first cause that needs nothing but explains everything.